If you make decent money, but you still feel like your finances are messy, stressful, or harder than they should be, then this video is for you. My name is Trey and I'm a licensed CPA that's based out of the Midwest, and I work with people every day that look financially successful on the outside. I mean, they have a good job, a nice house, they have a bunch of things going on that are positive, but when you really dig into their financial situation, you realize they're up to their necks in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and unsure where their money is actually going. Studies consistently show that a large percentage of Americans, including high earners, are living paycheck to paycheck. Not because they don't earn enough, but because their money lacks structure. In this video, I'm going to walk you through a simple, practical, and genuinely foolproof way to fix your finances in the next 6 months. This isn't some BS about extreme budgeting, cutting out everything that you enjoy, or trying to get rich overnight. This is about creating real financial stability, creating some momentum, and then finally getting to a growth stage. And if you follow this step by step, your finances will look and feel completely different by the end of the next 6 months. Most people think that they're bad with their money because they don't have a ton of money.
All right, Carter, you got $25.87.
Not for long. I make bad financial decisions.
The reality of it is that they're spending too much time trying to fix all of their financial issues at once. They jump between different budgeting apps, investing strategies, or some random money advice that they see online from a guy who's not a millionaire. And as a CPA, I can tell you that financial success isn't rocket science. It's about the systems that you have and finding a way to spend less than you earn. You don't need a bunch of motivation, and you don't need those 16 savings accounts you set up with no money. You need an actual plan and a structure. We're going to be breaking down the next 6 months into 3 simple phases. The first phase is going to be about stabilizing your finances. The second phase is about automating your money so that you don't have to consistently watch it. And the third phase is going to be about how to grow. Each phase is going to build on the last phase, so if you don't pay attention to the different steps, this whole thing is going to fall apart. So let's start with phase number 1. The goal of the first 2 months is not growth, it's control. The first thing you need to do is actually see where your money is going. I need you to pull up the last 60 days of all the money that you spent, whether in your bank account or your credit card, and then after you're done crying, come back to this video and we'll come fix it. A lot of people get shocked just by looking at their actual statements. They see that they're spending a bunch of money, but instead of it being on one massive item, it's going to be on a bunch of small items that they don't use. Subscriptions, convenience spending, and Amazon purchases that they can't remember what they bought. Research shows that the average person underestimates their spending by hundreds of dollars per month. Not intentionally, but because their small expenses start to add up and they don't recognize how much is actually coming out of their account. Once you realize, oh, this is where my money is going, the next thing I need you to do is calculate what I like to call a shelter avoidance number. The shelter avoidance number is a number that's going to keep you from going into a shelter. So that means it's everything that is your essentials. I'm talking your housing, your utilities, your food, transportation to get back and forth to work, and maybe some insurance. Once you know this number, you can actually determine what you're spending and what value you're getting out of some of those miscellaneous purchases that don't go into that shelter number. Now, I'm not going to tell you to cut out everything that's miscellaneous because I'm a firm believer that you need to live your life, but I'm going to tell you to be realistic about the things that you don't actually use. The final step in phase number 1 is to build a small cash buffer. Your goal in the first 2 months should be to save $1,000 in a separate account that you don't use. This isn't about some form of protection, but it's about creating a way for you to break out of that paycheck to paycheck cycle that you're in. Surveys consistently show that Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency without some form of debt. And if that's you, don't feel bad. We're trying to build a buffer so that when an unexpected expense comes around, it's not a financial emergency, but more like an inconvenience. Once you have that clarity on a shelter avoidance number and a small buffer, then you're ready for phase number 2. Quick pause. If this already makes more sense than most advice that you're going to see online for money, then you'll probably like the rest of the videos that I make. I post calm, practical finance content from a CPA's perspective, so if that's something you'll find useful in the future, consider subscribing. Alright, let's keep going. Once you have a little bit of a nest egg and you have some clarity on your financial picture, this is where most people think that they're good with their money, but they aren't. If your finances require constant attention, they will eventually fail. So the goal of phase number 2 is to make your money move automatically. You need to start by separating your money by purpose, and you need to have an account for your spending your account for your savings, and then an account for your recurring bills. This separates your money a little bit so that you're not constantly negotiating if you should go buy XYZ item. You just know you have money set aside for that. And this is why you need to pay yourself first. No matter how little the amount is, this needs to be a core principle in your habits. Every time you get paid, put a little portion of money that's going to go automatically to savings or investing or a spending account before you have the chance to just blow it on whatever. Once you start learning how to live without a certain percentage of your income, everything starts to be easy in terms of saving. The next thing you need to tackle is your debt. No one likes to owe money, but owing someone and not having a game plan for paying it off is even worse. If you have high interest debt, this is where you need to handle it strategically. In my opinion, I think people formulate too many game plans for their debt. You just need to pay off the highest interest debt, and if you can't earn more investing it than you can on the interest you're gonna pay, then you need to tackle that first. At the end of phase 2, your finances should feel calm, predictable, and almost boring. And boring is good. Now we focus on growth for the future. At this point, you're no longer reacting to money problems. This is when your savings needs to start transitioning into investing. This means simple, low-cost, long-term investing strategies, and no, you don't need to be investing in every stock that goes viral on TikTok. The goal shouldn't be to beat the market. The goal should be to participate consistently so that you don't miss out on some of the long-term gains. Next, you need to take a look at your income. You can't out-budget a low income. So you need to ask yourself what skill, certification, or opportunity could realistically increase your income over the next 6 months. And hint, it's not going to be those investing strategies that you see from courses online about e-commerce. Instead, focus on negotiating your pay, changing roles, or making a strategic career move. One strategic move can outperform years of cutting expenses. As you start earning more money, start putting more money away and into investments. The next step I'm going to challenge you to do is to start taking a look at your finances on a consistent basis. Whether you sit down for 15 minutes or 30 minutes every month, you need to just take a look at them, see the progress, and don't obsess over it, but make sure that your habits are being consistent and that you're actually seeing where your money's going. If you follow this system, here's what actually happens. Money stops feeling stressful, you know exactly where your money's going, and unexpected expenses stop knocking you completely off track. For the first time, you might see your net worth even go in a positive direction. You're not going to be rich overnight, but you're going to be stable, confident, and building momentum, which is how real wealth starts. If you found this video helpful and you want more practical, no-nonsense financial advice from a CPA's perspective, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.